Happy podcast day, Falcon Paladin.
Thank you, Sir Somicron. It is good to be here for another podcast wherein we do nerdy talk about nerdy things.
It's true. It's true. What nerdy things have you done in the last week?
I have read a Warhammer book. I'm not sure if you've heard of that before, but
Warhammer. What's Warhammer?
yeah,
I don't
it's
know.
just a science fiction thing in the future where everything sucks and magic is real and demons are real and
Wow.
nobody's the good guys and, stuff like that.
I've never heard of it.
I know, it'd be worth looking into, I think. I think you might enjoy it, personally.
You think it might be up my alley?
I mean, maybe. I'm
Maybe.
not, like, guaranteeing anything here, but,
You wouldn't put money on
Possible.
it. Okay.
I'd put like $5 on it. I think it's pretty likely. Yeah.
That's funny.
Anyway, yeah, we're talking about the second book of the Eisenhorn trilogy in the 40K series today
By the wonderful Dan Abnett.
by Dan Abnett.
Dan Abnett.
I mean, Dan Abnett from 25 years ago, but still Dan Abnett. I still feel the need to clarify this.
I mean, okay, so we can jump right into it. Do you feel like this book was written significantly better, or a little bit better, or not even remotely better than Xenos?
I think it's better. I think the pacing is better. I think there are a lot more character moments and emotional moments between people. At least until I got to the end, where it was like, we found out where the bad guy is. Let's kill him in 10 seconds. And I was like, but could we like talk about this?
Can we have a moment? But they literally get to the planet where the final bad guy is when there's 25 minutes left in the audiobook of a 10-hour audiobook. It's insanely zippy at the end.
So much stuff happens. It is jam-packed with things, but they happen very quickly. Like, people die, people are turned traitor, people do this, there's this fight, there's this revelation, there's this other thing that happens, this thing breaks, this thing wins. Just like boom, 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 boom. And then it's like, and then the end. It's like, all right, Dan.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he had like a word limit couldn't go past, or like a page count he couldn't succeed. Like,
Or is like, I'm done with this book. Here's what happens. The end.
I don't know if he's like, I'm done with this book, because he goes on to write these characters for like another 7 books, right?
Yeah, but I mean, this particular book, not done with the story, but like this book, I'm tired of it. I'm tired of the storyline. Let's get Quixos out of here. Let's finish it. Done.
Again, it's all written from the perspective of Eisenhorn's like personal journal, diary. So it is just him being like, here's the relevant information, and like maybe that's an excuse to cut out a lot of stuff.
Yeah, but it's not all relevant information. There's tons of stuff in here that if you were just really focusing on what's relevant to the story, you cut it out.
It's what Eisenhorn thinks is relevant.
Okay, so like specifically, there's this moment when they're on the asteroid that they're mining. There's like that
Kinshasa.
whole Imperial. Yep. And what's her face? Daughter, incredible pilot, daughter of his original pilot from the first book.
Yeah.
Medea.
Betancourt. Yep.
Yep.
Medea Betancourt. Yep.
He specifically mentions she's taking off her clothes and she's like getting ready to go to bed, and he's like, nope, we're going out for more. And it's like, did we need to specifically mention that she's like not wearing very much right now? Because I don't think we needed to do that.
But Gregor does, because he's
I know, because
like,
he's
he's sexually attracted to this person. Yeah, because he's like, earlier in the book, he's like catches her making a midnight snack, and he's like, don't you think you should get dressed before raiding the pantry? And she's like, that's a bit rich coming from you. And he realizes, oh, I was, as his friend would say, I was very naked except for a gun. Right. This book, Gregor is a little bit James Bond, and James Bond is a womanizer.
Okay, so he's like, let me as an old man go back over my memoirs of important things that happened when I was younger. Oh, remember that time that I was naked in front of Medea in the kitchen? That was awesome. I'm writing that down.
Well,
like, what the hell is wrong with you, sir?
You can't cut that out because It's why he was in the kitchen when his Inquisitor buddy broke in.
You can 100% cut that out. You could have written, my Inquisitor buddy broke in, I heard something, and I went and talked with him. You don't have to say anything about the kitchen at all. I'm just saying, you don't have to. Look, again, he wanted to, fine. But I'm just arguing that there's nothing necessary about that at all. Zero.
Well, I feel like he wanted it to be personal as well. He wanted to have some character moments. He wanted to introduce who this woman was, and the best way to do that was her only wearing a t-shirt. Who am I to say Gregor Eisenhorn is sexist?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, overall, I did think it was better. There are good character moments. The pacing is still probably too fast, but not as incredibly zippy as it is in the first book. It's slowing down a little bit, which I appreciate.
There's still a handful of places where it's like, and then we skip 3 months, and there's some stories and some really cool shit happen, but I'm not going to tell you. You'd have to ask Harlan Nail over a couple of beers for him to tell you that story. You're not going to get it here. It's like, I would like that story, sir.
It's like, but also, you could help us and tell us the story now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bingo. And, like, there's a specific part towards the final third of the book where, like, they're on the run, and they talk about how he celebrates, I guess this is Christmas, right? It's the start of a new year, blah, 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 candles, etc., new beginnings,
so, right? Warhammer does actually have a Christmas holiday called Sanguinala. And it commemorates Sanguinius' sacrifice.
Oh, wow. I feel really like Sanguinius in 40k. Okay.
Yeah. So he's like calling it Candle Mass or something. It's the same thing. It's basically the turn of the new year. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
So it's like he celebrates Candlemas. He's like, man, I was in prison last time there was Candlemas. And then like 10 pages later, it's another Candlemas.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we are blowing through time right now. Yeah. Totally.
Yeah. Yep. And all of it's on the run, and you're like, oh, is he maybe a bad guy? Because, you know, at this point we know he's lied to his boss about, you know, if he's told the Inquisition everything about the events of the Necrochuke, and like, we're definitely being told that he has other Inquisitors coming after him, and he like manages to capture one and is like trying to reason with him, or at least we're told he totally tried to reason with him before he pushed him into a heat exchange, right? And it's like, oh, so you're just killing other Inquisitors. You could just keep him captive and locked up and be like, look, we'll explain it later. Or when like one of our bosses comes and like demands you accept that I'm not an evil guy. Instead he just kills him. You know?
Right, you are. That was a moment that stuck with me. I was like, oh, okay. Wow, we're doing this now.
And it's incredibly zippy, right?
We don't dwell on it. We don't talk about it.
It's in Eisenhorn just briefly explaining what he did over the last 3 months. It's like, yeah, I killed an Inquisitor, and then I went and shut down a Nurgle cult, which I consider to be a giant waste of time, all things considered, at the moment, right? Like, it was a huge interruption to my plans to find Quixos.
Incredible. Like, really incredible. Just side note there. Like, murdered another Inquisitor. And then this other stuff happened. It's like, but also...
That seems really important.
No? Okay. So, yeah. I don't know. I mean, I did appreciate the fact that we did get an answer to why on earth this demon host...
is toying with...
name. Whatever his name is.
Cherubael?
Cherubael. Why he keeps sparing him, and he keeps saying they have great plans together, and like, you're gonna help me someday, and he's like, no, I'm not, you're a demon, screw you. And that was a pretty satisfying thing, like, okay, and trying to destroy him, he freed him from Quixos' imprisonment and sent him back to the warp.
And
which I feel like Cherubael could have told him that was happening, and like Eisenhorn would have tried to kill him anyway. The same thing probably would have happened.
Yeah, it's a question of whether or not Cherubael knows if Eisenhorn can imprison a demon host at this point. It's like, okay, if I tell him I need you to kill me because I want to be free of this dickhead, right?
Right.
And he goes, "Great, I'll gladly kill you." And then he realizes he's freed a very powerful demon back into the warp to do whatever it wants.
Mm-hmm.
Or if Cherubiel's like, well, he might be able to take me prisoner. He might be able to just like bind me and like hold me in a vault somewhere. Which spoilers.
Spoiler alert.
At the end of the book, we realize Gregor is making demon hosts or making a demon host, which it's all kind of implied, but that requires a body to put it into. So he's sourced someone and stuck a demon in him just because it's like, you don't get to use me as a regicide piece. I'm going to hold you prisoner. I'm not going to use you, but I'm going to hold you prisoner. And like, I think we're slowly starting to see Gregor go from like Vogue to Quicksos. Like he's on the spectrum between those two things.
Yeah, which, right. I mean, it's definitely happening.
Mm-hmm.
Like, consorting with Pontius Claw and, like, getting
Keeping that
secrets
from
of the warp from him.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Keeping Pontius from the Inquisition and being like, yeah, I don't know, he just didn't put it in his report. He'd lost it. I don't know. He doesn't explain how he kept it his secret. But he's totally kept him around for years.
Yeah, and he even says, like, I probably should have turned him over to the Inquisition, but also...
He's a useful piece of knowledge, and I might be able to use that.
Right.
Yeah.
I just want to say, too, do you think there's something about Pontius Claw's psychology that kind of makes him immune to the effects of solitary confinement? Like, you put a human in solitary confinement for 100 years, they go insane. That's it. They're done. You come back to them, and they're a raving madman. There's nothing left.
So, in Xenos, Pontius had gone into, like, stasis, vaguely, and, like... So I assume they'd been doing that. Because I assume that you put Pontius Claw into 100 years of solitary, he goes crazy. But at the same time, he's a chaos worshipper, right?
Fair point. Yeah.
Chaos is kind of a definitionally crazy kind of character.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, even okay. So we should run through the events of the book. Sure. So it starts off with Gregor is dying.
Right.
Everyone is now old, but still looks super young because it's 100 years later.
Except for his pilot, who's
dead. Okay, great.
Dead.
The new pilot is also quite young because she was only just born. And Gregor has gone from a relatively young Inquisitor, someone who has like a ship to his, like a gun cutter, not even like a void capable, like a warp capable ship, right? Like he has to rent passage on other ships.
Right.
Now he has a whole retinue of like up to 80 people and like multiple properties and dozens of like interrogators. He's got Ravener and another one who he's like, this guy is, I think his name's Bombay or something. He's like, Gregor doesn't think too much of him. He's like, yeah, I was hoping Ravener would inspire this guy. It's not happening, right?
Yeah, he's got a bunch of pariahs that he's been collecting over time.
Mm-hmm. And he's dying. He's like ingested a binary poison, which when he ingests the other half, it'll kill him, right? So he's had to stop eating and drinking because he doesn't know where this like master assassin is hidden the next dose, right? It could be anywhere. So he can't eat until they've killed this person, right?
Yeah, and the poisoner's working for Spider Demon Lady, right?
Spider Demon Lady, who kills another woman of Gregor's retinue. Both this book and Xenos open with a woman dying from Gregor's retinue.
Right.
Same trick again, thanks Dan.
It's the year 2000. What do you want from this guy?
That's fair. At least this person we know was banging Ravenor, and Ravenor gets to be upset about it, right?
Right.
Eisenhorn takes her sword and is like, I am honor bound to return this to her people, though. Boy, does that not happen.
Not even close to happen. Not even once. He thinks about it once. He's like, boy, I probably should have returned this. Oh well,
Well,
got good use for it.
I guess I'll go and deface it.
Yeah.
um,
Oh,
so
it's great.
they managed to like just barely kill the spider lady, and then the church's version of an inquisitor turns up. This guy named Tantalid, who is just like, "You're a psycho. That means you're a heretic, and I get to kill you." And it's like,
Right.
but that's an inquisitor, and he's like, "Don't care." Don't.
Yeah, which apparently has happened before because he knows this guy. He's like,
Right.
we had this argument once,
Mm-hmm.
and then basically I won, and then he got called off to do some crusades. Like I haven't seen him for a while, and here he is now, and he still wants me dead.
Mm.
That's like, okay, but like at some point you're an inquisitor, you might have your own personal misgivings about anyone that has psychic powers. Fine,
Mm-hmm.
but like you have a boss. And your boss has a boss, and if the guy all the way up the chain is like, this dude's cool, then you should be cool with it. What is wrong with you? Like, isn't that heretical to go against the direct wishes of, the top inquisitor? It's insane.
So yeah, okay. So Tantalid isn't an inquisitor, to be clear.
Oh,
he works
fair.
specifically for the church, and the church, as a rule, burns witches, and so they
Sure.
do have witch seekers like this who go out and kill witches. And if they just happen to come across a witch and they didn't happen to be displaying their rosette and they killed them, well, that's just an unfortunate accident.
Yeah, but it's maybe if it's the first time you've run across this dude, but if you have history with him, like there's gonna be fallback, dude.
So
They're gonna come for you.
like again, this is one of the times where it's like the infighting in the Imperium is just on display, and you're not supposed to think your way out of it. It's stupid, and it's supposed to be stupid that like
Fair enough.
they would do
There
this.
is infighting within the Imperium. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's pleasant.
Yep.
But yeah, they all basically live. Tantalid tries to fight with a gun cutter, which goes great for him. Introduced into oh god, it is kind of sad when you realize, because they're talking in Glossia, the world's easily cracked private cant, which
We need to talk about this.
I mean, I do love Glossia, but boy, is it not not hard to crack. It is kind of sad when you realize that Medea Betancourt took her father's call sign, right?
Yeah.
And it's,
Yeah.
oh, they never even met, but that's really sad and touching.
She's wearing his jacket,
Yeah,
which is also kind of adorable.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so Glossia. I love that, like, midway through the second book, he's like, here's how Glossia works. It's so smart. And I'm like, not
No.
really, though. It's a good try, Dan.
I mean, here's the thing. I think it is functional as like a private cant, like a battlefield cant where you need to like yell an objective or whatever, and someone might be listening in. There's reasonable assertion that if you only hear one sentence out of context, you don't know who Rosethorn is, right? And you don't know what Aegis Arising means, or Rapturous Beast Below, or what Patent Crucible is, right?
Yeah.
And there's
Right,
a bit,
that's true.
And there's a bit where Dan goes, because it's like metaphor based, right? Like what is Patent Crucible? It depends on what you think Crucible means.
Right.
That other members of his retinue have used words he's never used in Glossia, and it totally makes sense. And it's like,
Right.
okay, that's great. If you're telling me this works in the world, I'll buy it. But what you've put on the page is still really easy to code. You know?
Yes.
You know, it's fun. It's fun. If nothing else.
Right.
Um,
Again, it's really hard to come up with something like a new kind of code in a fictional book, so I'll give him a pass.
you give him a pass.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So after that, we basically Gregor gets summoned back to Thracian Primaris for like a novena, which is like a big parade and a big celebration because the crusade that they kicked off 100 years ago in the first book is now finished. They've gone out and they've captured some worlds, and there's a war master who is getting a political promotion to feudal protector, which, when they're talking about a hive city and like all of the industry and how the pollution is killing the planet and all of rich people live in underwater houses, feudal is a misnomer, you know?
Probably. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty neat, though, because it's like usually on planets like this, the higher up you are, the more status you have. But this place is so polluted and so disgusting. The only place you can escape it is under the ocean. And it's like, oh, man, all right.
Which is totally a James Bond villain house to have.
Totally is. Yeah. Now he just needs a base in a volcano.
Oh, don't read the next book. I'm kidding. Off the top of my head, I don't think that's what happens. But like, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That would be hilarious. Anyway.
It would.
Yeah.
So he also, at some point, there's been this rumor that Trubriel spared an Inquisitor because he thought he was Eisenhorn, which,
right.
Knowing Trubriel's plan, couldn't he have let anyone kill him at any point?
Yes, but who has the capabilities of killing a demon host?
Right, apparently just not every Inquisitor.
Like, Eisenhorn didn't have it until recently.
That's
right?
true. He needed to, like, forge a...
With the help of Pontius Claw.
It's true. He had to
so
forge
you have to basically work with a super high-level...
cultist.
Cultist to do this, which...
He also forged a force staff out of the Lith, which is a demon-infested piece of crystal.
Right.
So he's utilizing possibly tainted relics.
Right. Totally works, but, tainted.
Tainted.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. So the answer to your question, no, I don't think there are many people who could kill a demon host right now.
Right.
Okay.
It's fun. There's a game called Darktide, and it's basically Warhammer 40k but Left 4 Dead, or Left 4 Dead but Warhammer 40k. And instead of witches, they have demon hosts, and it turns out anyone can shoot a demon host.
Of course, because game.
Because it's a video game. It doesn't count, but it's
Well, yeah, but I mean, it goes to the whole thing where I always had this complaint that early on in the Horus Heresy, to defeat a demon, you have to use like blessed stuff or demon stuff. It has to be magic in some way. Regular weapons don't hurt them. And then we kind of forget about that for a long time.
Where were we killing them without magic stuff?
All the time. What are you talking about?
On Terra, we had the Emperor's protection, and now we're killing demons.
But even but everywhere throughout.
I feel like there was a lot less demon killing than I remember.
Okay, there's some.
There's definitely, absolutely there's some, and you're absolutely right. But yeah.
Yes. But point is, the demon host.
Eisenhorn goes and has to talk to his boss, and they're like, "Look, there's been some disturbing reports," and they swear up and down that you've gone rogue.
Right, but this is my question. Based on what?
An Inquisitor's testimony.
Right, but what? What did he say? Like, we know that Trubriel spared a dude because he thought it was Eisenhorn. Is that it?
Yeah, they read the charges like colluding with demons, that sort of stuff.
Yeah. So here's my thing. If you're a demon who's bored and just wants to fuck with the Inquisition, like wander around and be like, oh, I thought you were someone else. I'm going to spare you. Just like do it all over the place. And the Inquisition's like, everyone's consorting with demons. Holy shit. Right?
Yeah, I mean, I assume Trubriel wasn't just bored and off on a stroll. I assume he was doing something.
But I'm saying you could, because the Inquisition apparently treats this one event as all you need to take out one of the best Inquisitors they have and like put him on trial and like murder the guy.
So put him on trial, but there's absolutely no evidence in this book that Gregor wouldn't have been exonerated at trial.
Well, no, but except for the fact that he thought he was probably going to get tortured to death before he actually got put on trial.
Right.
So that would be a problem.
Only because one Inquisitor was like determined to like advance their career, right?
Yeah.
If Gregor hadn't been at Cadia, we're gonna skip over a bit, but basically we realize that there's this other Inquisitor, Lyca, who's like ditched town really quickly and has maybe left a paper trail, and they're like, oh shit, we should go and check out that guy. Maybe there's something up with him. So Gregor also ditches town really quickly. And it's like, well, that seems also suspicious.
Mm-hmm.
And then we find the two of them together with a demon host. What a coinky dink, and that looks really bad. Right? If Gregor had just stayed...
A demon! They are actively shooting it in the face. Like, they're not sitting down and having tea. They're not like, tell me all your secrets, demon host. Oh shit, I've been discovered. His friends are dying. Like, they are shooting it with autocannons. That bothered me so much. He's like, you're hanging out with the demon host. I'm like, were you here at all in the last 30 seconds?
They conveniently missed all that pieces. It's circumstantial, right? Like I'm saying that partly to be funny, but also it's true. Like they got there just at like when Gregor was like happening to ask Cherubiel the question, and it's like consorting, and it's like it's all stacking up to look really bad. But if Gregor had just stayed on Thracian for like a bit longer, there would have been no evidence of any collusion with demons at all, you know? Gregor, in his zealotry to, seek out Cherubiel, kind of incriminates himself, like by leaving a lot of circumstantial evidence that stacks up against him and looks really bad. It looks worse than it is, but we're also being told this from Gregor's perspective.
We are. That's true.
Right. And, like, it's his explicit, like, abandoning of his underwater house. He's like, oh, okay, I'm finally done with dealing with, like, the riots and stuff. I'm packing up here. We're leaving. I'm so done with this place. And at the time, you can be like, yeah, no, dude, I get it. But then looking back, it's like, okay, so we know he's got Pontius Glor for the last 100 years. He's getting out of town really quickly. Is he telling us everything in this moment?
Yeah, probably not. I mean, I don't know. We've talked about this before. I hate the concept of the unreliable narrator.
Right.
Like, you're to tell me a story. Tell me the story. Don't tell me the fanciful dream state that somebody was in, or have someone who's lying to me constantly about the events. Mm-hmm. Tell me the story and let me have the story. Wine.
But it's
my
so
biggest
good.
wine in fiction, I think.
But it's
really
so
hate
good.
unreliable narrator.
It's so good.
Yeah. No, it's not.
I mean, I think this is done very well, but I can see why it's a dart.
Well, I mean, there is nothing in the book at this point that insinuates that he's an unreliable narrator, other than the fact that it's first-person narration, and we know that he's telling this from the future. Mm-hmm. Like, there hasn't been a point where
that makes
we're
it a
like,
twist
holy
at the end.
shit, he's lying. Right.
That makes it a twist at the end where you go, oh my god, I could get so much more out of a second read, and then you buy another copy.
Right, so you've just totally spoiled this for me, by the way. This could have been a huge reveal, but not anymore.
I feel like it was a huge reveal when he was summoning demons. I think that's the reveal. It's the end of this book.
No, because it's just progression. He's working with Pontius Claw. He's learning all this stuff. Like, he's doing all these things. He's following the path. Mm-hmm. We reach the point where he's enslaving demons, and it's like, this is a natural progression. I don't feel like he was hiding anything from me in the previous books. We're here because we're here. It's not a reveal.
I feel like it is, because like when he's talking to Rorken, he's very cognizant. Like, he writes very explicitly that this is the first lie I've ever told him, but he has already lied about Pontius Glor. Like, we know he's not being truthful there.
Oh, there's omission and there's straight up lies, right?
Yeah, I mean, I could look up the exact wording if you'd like, because I feel like they ask him, like, have you had anything to do with any remnants of... I can't remember if they, like, explicitly talking about the Necrotruk affair, and he's like, no, I haven't seen anyone there. I've tried, but I haven't found anything. Knowing where Pontius Glor is, I feel like, is knowing a thing.
That's fair. Okay, so there's that.
And here's the thing. We could get to the end of this, and maybe Gregor seems much like a much more reliable narrator than I'm making it be. Maybe I'm the unreliable narrator, Falcon.
Well, because, yeah, maybe. Well, because, again, he's not lying to us, right?
True. Yeah, that's a good point.
Like, we know everything that he's doing. Is he lying to the Inquisition? Yeah. Did he lie about lying to the Inquisition? Yeah, but, like, we know.
Is he lying to himself, though?
Yeah,
about
and
how
that's where
about,
it gets.
because there's a lot of like his conversation with Pontius Chlorus is like, what's over the line? You know, when did Gregor cross that line?
Yeah, but I mean, I think honestly, the point is that there's not a line. It's not like one day you are good and then you do a thing and now you are bad in a lot of circumstances. I mean, you can do that. Child murder is probably on the list.
Uh-huh.
But for most people, it's not a one thing that they do, you know?
You don't think stuffing a demon into someone and then locking
That's
them
it.
up, like, no, you don't think that's crossing a line?
I mean, are
Ju-
you saying there's multiple lines?
uh, I'm asking you specifically
Is
if
that when he went from good to bad?
yeah, do you think that is a line? Like when you summon a demon that you could have just been like, well, there are billions of demons in the warp. I guess this is just another one out there. Or being like, I have to go and get a person, you know, who knows if
Yeah.
they're willing or not, and stuff a demon into them and then hold them captive. And that person won't last forever. I'll have to keep doing this probably.
Right. And that's ego. That's just pure ego. He frames it as you don't get to control me, I control you. There's no greater good here. There's no sense of I'm doing this for a larger purpose. He's just doing it because he's pissed off that this demon spent 100 years basically being in his dreams and now he wants some control over it. Right?
But you don't think it's evil to like summon a demon and stuff?
No. No, I do. And I'm saying he's done other stuff in the pursuit of the greater good, right? But this is the first thing maybe where it's like I'm doing this for ego. I'm doing this for me. There's no way you can frame this as being good for the Imperium.
Right.
Right? Right. So yeah, in that case, I would say it's probably the first example of him not even trying to frame it as I'm doing this for the greater good.
What about like killing the other, like the young Inquisitor? Like he feels like if this Inquisitor stops him, he won't be able to stop Quicksauce. But
Right.
the need to kill him is a very specific action, right? Like I don't think we're really given enough to be like, well, he had to kill him. He had no choice. It was like this guy was clearly at Gregor's mercy, right?
Yeah, but we're not given enough to know that he easily could have taken him captive either, right?
Yeah, I suppose.
Like we don't get that scene.
True. True.
Anywho's, yeah. I just think this book does a good job of being like, here's him making concessions, like acknowledging to himself he's making concessions here. Like when he takes his sword to get it blessed, the priest is like, "So you good?" And he's like,
Yeah.
"Yes."
Like the priest very explicitly asks, like, you do not cover like evil power or something like that, and he's like,
Yeah.
I am pure. He doesn't. He like dodges the question.
But he knows. Like he knows what he's been doing. He knows the time he's been spending with Pontius Claw and all the information he's gotten from him is screwing with him. He knows.
He knows.
He's not doing this in ignorance. He's not pretending he's doing the right thing here. So yeah.
Well,
So
I mean, he thinks he's doing the right, like the wrong things for the right reason, right?
right. Yes, which is very different from him in the first book, where it's a lot of doing the right things for the right reasons.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, I think this book does a good job exploring the descent. I think it's interesting that he comes face to face with someone that he's like, this guy is the end of the road in Quixos, right? This guy is the end of the road in me, continuing down this path. And then in the next chapter, it's like, I'm continuing down the path. And I'm like, dude,
I mean,
you just got an object lesson.
well, here's the thing. He takes the Malleus Codicium off Quicksauce, and that's where he learns more shit.
I know. I know.
So, like
he destroys the evil book of evil in the first book twice. And in this one, he's like,
well,
be good to have around.
Maybe
So yeah, it's
I'll
a
read the
very
book.
clear difference.
Yeah. I do think if we're talking about this book is like the first, like, if we think of like the first book as like Gregor's walking a path, this one's the first one that is a step down, right?
Yep.
And if we consider this book like walking down, I think it's really, really good. That like one of the few conversations we got with Quicksauce is Quicksauce believes he's still pure, and that anyone coming to stop him must be Chaos heretics.
I thought the fact that he's wearing his Inquisitor rosette was
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
That was such a good detail.
Such a good touch.
Gregor's like, I was revolted by the fact that he was still wearing it. And I'm like, but it says a lot about
Oh,
Quixos.
yeah, yeah. And what, like, yeah, Quixos has walked much further down that road, and like much of the question, I guess, becomes: is this the path of every Inquisitor, or just Gregor, or
Right.
most
Well,
Inquisitors?
Pontius Claw says it.
Yeah.
Pontius Claw says every Inquisitor ends up here, ends up where Quixos is.
Yeah.
Every single one, because part of your whole creed is you got to learn about the warp to fight the warp. And the more you learn about the warp, the more you get sucked into the warp, and you give it enough time, and you're fucked. And it's
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, great. I wonder if the
Inquisition knows this.
people up top understand this. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. Maybe that's why they're trigger happy that when they get like a report from another Inquisitor that, hey, this guy's fucking with demons or demon hosts, that they're like,
They're just
oh,
like,
okay,
shoot first, ask questions later.
later, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe.
No, you're right. And maybe that's how they deal with it. They're like, yeah, we know.
Well,
we
you know
know
what?
this happens over, the 10,000 years we've been doing this.
Mm-hmm.
So anytime there's any sign anyone's going down that road, we just kill them. Amazing.
Oh,
Crappy job. Good grief.
yeah. Uh-huh. Speaking of just killing them, there is a really funny bit. It's not meant to be funny, but it's funny. That when Gregor's going to go get his staff and sword blessed, that they're at this like big church that's like a shrine dedicated to someone who, like the setting off of a journey. Like this is the starting point to a journey, and they're like, oh well,
Yeah.
these birds are like the holy symbol of this saint. So let's vat grow these in the millions and release them every hour. And they can't survive in the local territory. So there's like a garden of dead birds surrounding the city. And it's like, Gregor's like, I had the mind to tell the Inquisition if they understood the irony of all of these dead birds at the start of a journey, being released. Yeah, God, the Imperium is so stupid sometimes.
It really is. It really fantastically is. Yeah. It's kind of fun that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the poor astropath that they pick up.
Yes. God, what is her name? I don't remember. Thula Savoka, maybe? I'm looking at the...
I don't. It's you something, isn't it?
You. Here's the problem. I listened to the audiobooks, and then I realized that some of the names start with different letters than I thought they were.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's a problem.
Like,
Book.
Kincha, the Lith. Like, Arno Tantalid, I now is spelled A-R, A-U-L-T, and I'm like, oh, I thought it was A-N-R-N-O. Like Arno. It's very simple,
Right.
but it's always different. And so just looking at them, I'm like, okay, I recognize Amos and Beckwin, that's easy. Fishig, that makes sense. Ravna, yeah. And then I'm trying to read Ariod Eswede. It's like
Ungish.
Ungish. That's her name?
Ungish. Yeah, that's her name.
How's it spelled?
Ungish. Ungish, maybe?
Oh, that's her surname. I'm looking at the first names. Yeah,
Oh,
Ungish.
fair enough.
Yeah,
Sure.
that's
Ungish.
why I was getting
Yeah.
hooked on it. Yeah.
So anyway, this poor astropath, they basically hire her, and she's like, holy shit, it's the famous heretic Eisenhorn. I don't want to work for you. And they're like, you kind of have to, sorry.
And
So
like,
to convince her to hang out, he lets her into his mind. Which, like, simultaneously, she's like, all right, I'll hang around. But at the same time, she's like, I've seen some stuff in there that I'm not going to tell you about, but it kind of freaks me out. And he's like, but you could tell me what's in there. And she's like, nope. Like, no, thanks, lady.
right.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it's anything Gregor doesn't know. He's just like, which are the
Okay.
bits that you think make me a heretic? Because to him, it's
Yeah.
all very one step down, and it's like it's all for the right reasons, so it all makes sense to him. And from her, it's a very black and white. You're a heretic. You're like, I'm convinced of your cause in this moment, but you're a heretic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then she foresees her death. She's like, "You hired me. You're dragging me along, and this will be how I die." And she's like, "Nah, I'll take care of you." Eisenhorn says, "Don't worry about it." And then she gets shot and she dies, and it's great.
Yeah. Yeah.
She was right.
She was right.
Poor astropaths. They do a good job in this book being like, astropaths have tough lives, man.
Right.
Every single one. There is not an astropath that's doing well in this book.
Right. Because even after she dies, they go and like get 2 more, and it's like they had basically no personalities, which they learned to have by rote. And like Gregor's maybe kind of sad about this, but he's like, but they work, so I don't care.
Yeah. Well, it's like they're young, but already the influence of the warp on them has like started to age them. Yeah.
Right. And I think because that's in like the final zippy moments of the book, it is a very big departure from when he's like having dinner and conversations with all of the people in his ocean house, and he's like really taking the time and effort to care about all the members of his staff. And here he's like, I needed some astropaths, and they've had rough lives, and they're dull as shit, but I don't care. I need them, right?
Right.
And
I
he
just
doesn't
need the functionality.
And the rest of the book, he doesn't even like try to interact with them beyond like sending some messages, you know?
Right. Right. Anywho, yeah. We get his wonderful friendship he's got with a member of the Adeptus, whatever those guys are called.
The Adeptus Arbites? Fishing?
No.
You mean Hound?
The robot guys.
Magos Mule, the Adeptus Mechanicus.
Magos.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Adeptus Mechanicus. That's what they're called.
Yeah.
Man.
So many Adeptuses.
Yeah.
Are they the Adeptus Astartes, the Adeptus Custodes, the Adeptus Sororitas? So many Adeptus.
So many Adeptus. So we learned that that's who Eisenhorn gave Pontius Claw to, was this Adeptus Mechanicus, who's, you know, super crazy old, and the vast majority of his body is robot at this point, if not all of it. Kind of kept him in ice there.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's this sad moment towards the end of that little plot arc where, who does Eisenhorn hug? Somebody hugs him.
I think it's Beckwin and Fishik as they go to leave because they're splitting up for a bit.
Yeah.
And I think Bjorn, B-U-R-E, goes and hugs him as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's like, he's doing it almost like out of a sense of, oh yeah, I remember what that's like.
Right. Human companionship is done like this. This is how you show that. I will attempt to show that now. Yeah. It's very Mechanicus. Yeah.
And Eisenhorn's like, there was no sense of like humanity or warmth from this action. It was weird. And then it was over. And I was like, oh, poor guy abandoning his own humanity. And it's not really, I mean, you miss out on some stuff when you do that. You attain, you know, more abilities and maybe a longer lifespan, but like, man, not a good time. And he's constantly talking to members of Eisenhorn's retinue about like, hey, maybe you want a mechanical arm, you want some legs, like, come on in, the water's great.
Specifically to Betancourt, because she has like these circuit laden in her, like the palm of her hand, so she can like fly helicopters better. Yeah, and so it's like, oh, okay, so you're machine smart, but you didn't want legs. You could run faster, jump higher. Like, you know.
She says, I make do with what I've got.
Yeah. If she had metal legs, how would she flirt with the Inquisitor?
Yeah.
Okay, so what have we not talked about in this book? Thracian atrocity.
Oh, yeah, which I've complained about already during a little bit during our StarCraft 2 thing. But, yeah, the concept of taking these incredibly dangerous psychers, like alpha-level psychers that we're very proud we captured, I get that, but parading them through a throng of 2 billion civilians during this parade and being like, boy, sure hope nothing goes wrong, otherwise this is going to be super bad, is insane to me.
Yeah, the Imperium's insane.
all.
Yep.
Okay, there you go. As
Like,
long as we're on the same page.
Yeah, I mean, you're supposed to look at that and be like, that's an incredibly stupid thing to do. Why would you do that?
Right. Fair enough.
We had a minor disagreement over, like, how it was prepared, but how it was prepared ultimately doesn't matter.
Not really.
Because something will go wrong. And the Imperium doesn't think anything could go wrong because they've already won the war. These are people they've explicitly beaten. They could just do it again. You know?
Yeah.
Obviously they have the power to enforce safety for, like, a day while they march all these prisoners of war through the public streets, you know? Obviously.
Right.
Yeah. Turns out maybe not so much.
Right. It's if it was soldiers, if it was just people who weren't that much of a threat without their weapons, it'd be like, okay, fine, let's do it. But the whole point of a psyker is that they can kill you with their brain. So you cannot nerf them to the point where they're not a threat anymore, to the point where I'd feel okay about it. That's all. Like, prisoners, fine. Depending on the level of threat they are, okay. But, like, prisoners that you cannot negate to a point of safety, I'm out.
So, the psychers might kill you with their brain, but the rest of the prisoners are all chaos cultists. They got out into the population. You can't distinguish them visually from the civilian population after they've had, like, whatever counts for a shower and, like, a change of clothes, right? And then you have people spread throughout your population spawning new chaos cults, which is the more long-term harm. You know, losing a couple hundred people to a guy who can control people with his mind, or spreading of a near infinite amount of chaos cults, and, like, having to keep your inquisitors here and to, like, work on it. I'm just saying, both are dangerous and both are stupid to just march around. There's a reason why you shouldn't parade enemy prisoners.
Yeah.
You know?
Period. Right.
And it's like, for all we know, they had a bunch of pariahs parading along with these psychers, and they just died in the bombings, although, like, the strafes from the traitor planes. It's like, pariahs are really great at canceling out psychic powers. They can't cycle out a lightning, you know, which is an Imperial ship. I don't mean a lightning bolt, you know, because they could cancel out a lightning bolt if it was warp powered.
Right.
You know, it's stupid either way. Like, there is no way to really guarantee that safety, but if you're hubristic enough, you know, and you're the Imperium, and you want a day of glory for pomp and ceremony and for political maneuvering, you will pretend that you can, and that's what they're doing.
Right. And they pretended, and it went bad.
Yeah. And Ravenor is, he gets,
melted?
Melted, yeah, melted's a good way to put it.
Like, they had to cut an opening in his face so he could breathe.
Yes.
That's how bad this was.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So here's where I announced to you that after the next book, the next Inquisitor trilogy we move on to is the Gideon Ravenor trilogy.
Oh, interesting.
So he becomes our next point of view character, and I really like those books, so I'm excited to get to them soon. But yeah, that's you now know his tragic backstory when he turns up in the next book as a man in a floating chair.
Right.
Yeah.
Classic move.
Yeah. He becomes Professor X.
He's got a little time to shine in this book too.
True.
Like, they're heading off to try to get Quixos, and he sends them an email, and he's like, "Yo, actually, no, it's a real letter with, like, magic necklaces and stuff."
Yep. Magic necklaces.
Like, here's where Quixos is. I've done some deductive reasoning. Here's some stuff to help you in your quest. Goodbye.
Yeah, they're definitely setting up that at the start of the book, when he had his body, he was, like, a very physical interrogator, as, like, he's very capable as, like, a field agent. But here he is, mutilated beyond belief, but his mind is still very capable, right?
Right. And if he didn't have a quick mind, he wouldn't have been Eisenhorn's favorite anyway.
True.
Right.
But I think what they're going to try and lean on is, like, because, like, there's a bit that Gregor mentions that it's like, if only I'd known what kind of person Ravenor would have been when I'd met him, you know, what kind of mind he would have gone on to become, I would have almost been, like, thankful for the atrocity or whatever, because without it, he might not have become that.
Right.
Like there's a
Right. And
very
they're
small line.
yeah, and it's good too because it's like this name of Revenor is known throughout the galaxy and throughout the Imperium. And if he'd just been a regular Inquisitor, I don't think that happens.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So that is cool.
Yep. 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 The Gideon Ravenel gets a mention in like one of Dan's other series where he's like written a bunch of like philosophy for how to people to guard their souls and stuff. Like I think canonically he comes up with the idea of the armor of contempt, which is if you just like have contempt for the demon, the witch, and the Xenos, you'll be fine. And like that works.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good magic armor. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's magic plot armor. I just think you're better. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so is there really a whole lot more that we've missed? Like, there's a bit of KDR and Gregor faking his death and...
So, real quick, Cadia, just big picture stuff. We meet Cadia in the Heresy, right?
In The First Heretic by Aaron Dembski Bowden. It is the planet that Lorgar finds, and they're like, Chaos cults are cool. And then he virus bombs it and is like... Sweet, we'll go into the Eye of Terror and go and find new gods. It'll be great. That's it.
And that's what happens.
That's what happens in the Heresy. Yeah.
Okay.
Did you want?
I'm like, yeah. I just remember Cadia originally being like, "We are super cool with chaos. It is awesome. We have purple eyes." And I'm like, "All right."
Yeah.
And then in modern Cadia, it's like, "We hate chaos. We have purple eyes." And I'm like,
So living on Cadia gives you the purple eyes because you like look up to the Eye of Terror for your entire life. But they've become a like a fortress world, so the entire world is militarized, and they're just there to like raise regiments to like fight back Black Crusades in 40K when like Chaos Marines try to come out and like raid the Imperium. You have read books that are canonically set like 700 years after this. Do you want me to remind you about what happens through Cadia later? Because you definitely know her.
I know about the future of Cadia.
Yes, you do. It almost certainly has come up in one of the other books we've read.
Fair enough. I do not remember this.
So, do you remember how the Imperium gets split in two, and there's like the dark side and the light side? So, Cadia has all those pylons, which are pretty important in this book.
Yes.
The Black Legion, run by Abaddon the Despoiler, who's now like the War Master of Chaos. He is like, it's time for my 13th Black Crusade. I'm going to just destroy Cadia, right? I'm going to launch ground attacks and try to like rip out some of these pylons and stuff. He's kind of losing, and then basically does like, I don't want to call it a holdover maneuver, but he puts a starship on an intercept course with this. Not a starship, a star fortress. Like, it's a huge black stone fortress. These things were, like, made by the Necrons millennia ago. Well, hundreds of millennia. Like, it's a super rare ship. You know, they gave it some gravitas. And he breaks the planet in half and destroys it, and that's what causes the Eye of Terror to split into this big rift that covers the entire galaxy. So Cadia is gone. Like, it's not around anymore. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tough stuff, Cadia.
Yeah, tough stuff.
Which has a conversation with Neve, right? With that, and where she's like, "I'm constantly putting down cultist uprisings around here." So like, that is a weird planet. Like half of them are like super militantly anti-chaos. They are shock troops to kill chaos and demons, and the other half of the planet's apparently just constantly falling to chaos. It's like,
well, that is the problem with living like essentially right in the Eye of Terror, right? It's like
I just feel like I'm impressed they managed to pull any of the anti-chaos stuff off at all on Cadia.
Well, I mean, I guess the Armor of Contempt is very, very good, but like not only that, the Cadians as the Imperial Guard are like the default model unit range for the tabletop. Like that, when you look at Imperial Guard and they've got that, you know, when we played Space Marine 2 and they were Imperial Guard, those are all Cadians.
Yep. Those are Cadians, right? I remember that. Yeah. And like they're put up as like the model soldiers in the Imperium.
Yeah. Right. So they actually raise a lot of regiments, and they're all over the galaxy because of it. So they're not even, like, they produce so much that they don't even just stick around there. They ship 90% of them off-world. Which you gotta have to wonder, does that spread chaos cults as well?
You probably have some sneaky chaos guys in those platoons they're sending out. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Did remind me of a very funny VTuber clip that I saw, which is because Katie is destroyed. She was playing Space Marine and was like, "Oh, look at you, guardsman! I don't need you here. You can go home." She's like, and people are like, "Did you just tell the Cadians to go home?" And like, it was very funny in character. The next day, she had to put out like a public apology, which was very fun. That's the only reason I like the clips. I could not sit down and watch one of the like a VTuber stream for 4 hours, but the clips are great.
That is really funny. Oh my gosh. Like, Acadians, whatever.
Go home.
Yeah, I mean, it would be very 40K if it's like these, these emblems of the Imperium, these best of the best. Have chaos people in amongst them all the time, and are propagating chaos throughout the galaxy.
Yeah.
Like, that's perfect 40K. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
I mean, the point of the book is just the descent of Eisenhorn into whatever.
Sure. This is the first step.
Yep.
You excited?
So again, I just want to point out he is given a very real face-to-face example of where he's heading, and he goes 2 feet first. Let's go. Kind of annoying, honestly.
Kind of.
I think I would appreciate it more if he was more actively trying to stop himself from going there, but then he gets dragged there anyway. It's more interesting, I think.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, probably, maybe. I feel like a lot of Eisenhorn's characterization, even in the first book, when he's on Hubris, right at the start, is like, Inquisitors have to make the tough decisions, and if you can't do that, you're not an Inquisitor. Like,
right.
And he believes he is the person who can make that tough decision for the right reasons. And so, all of the shit that he does, including being like 2 feet first into the Codus Maledicium and summoning a demon host because fuck you demons, is him thinking like it's hubris, right? Like it's ego, and that's just as bad as being dragged in there, right? It's willing. Like being dragged is somehow even better because it means you could get away with him being like naive about it. But this is him knowing more and still going in, even though he knows where it leads, because he's like, no, but I won't turn into Quicksauce. I won't bomb Thracia and Primaris to steal a single Psyker,
Yeah. I don't know. I guess part of me just wishes he would say that.
Well, here's the problem. The book is super zippy at the end. There's no time to say that, apparently.
Just, if there was any sense of, I realize these things that I'm doing are bad, but I'm doing them for the right reasons. I won't turn into Quixos. Instead, it almost seems like he's kind of embracing it at the end of the second book.
Kind of. I mean, when he escapes from Cadia, like the prison, he's like, yeah, we have to kill the pilot and the crew. And he feels bad about it, but it's like, well, in the grand scheme of things, it's more important that I'm free than these Cadian pilots are alive.
Yeah. Right.
I feel like that meets the kind of definition of like, well, I think that's what you're going for there. Like, I think that's like
what I'm going for. Moments like that. Yeah.
Yep.
Just like a moment like that at the end of the book where he's like, I recognize enslaving a demon inside the host of a human body is bad news. Holding on to this evil book is also bad news. I am heading in that direction, but by golly, I recognize this is happening. It's for the greater good, and I won't go where Quixos is.
Well, I think him locking that up and making like it's his like I'm taking every precaution I can. I've got him chained and bound in a basement vault with 13 locks on it. This is not what Quixos was doing because I've got it under control, right?
But in the first book, he burned the evil book in the first book, and in this one, he's hanging on to it. Like that should be something he recognizes.
Maybe. In the first book, he was tempted. He believes he was tempted by the book. It's like, oh, if I just read a little bit more, I could make a better decision on whether or not to destroy this. What if that wasn't from the book tempting him? That was him tempting him, and he didn't realize it. That's just him.
Yeah, and that's totally fine. He was tempted, and he didn't do the thing. He burned it.
But now he does have more
destroyed it.
information, and
Right.
making the
Because
better
he-
decision is to hold on to it. I think
Right.
it's left for the reader to decide, but the book is written from his perspective, so we would like it for him to know it.
Yeah.
Like I can understand that, but I don't feel like we intrinsically need it.
All right.
Yeah, it'd be nice, but we don't need it. I think.
Fair.
Yeah. Oh, there is one more thing that happens in this book that's kind of note, which is Titus Endor switches from like Order Hereticus to Order Malleus, specifically because this other Inquisitor is like, I've got dirt on you, you're gonna switch and help me get Gregor, and like at the end, Gregor finds out, and basically like this has been his best friend since they were interrogators together under Hapshant, like that's the name of their Inquisitor who taught them, and it's like Gregor at that moment when he finds out that like Endor, his like best friend, was basically sent here to kill Quicksauce, and then arrest Eisenhorn in the process, is like a betrayal at the end.
And if anywhere along the way he sees Eisenhorn doing anything heretical, he kills him. That's part of it. But
yeah.
Yes,
Breaks Eisenhorn a little bit on the inside, I feel like that's really sad. Yeah, I think it's of note, but I don't think it's important for the book.
Yeah, I mean, he very, very coldly is like, this guy that is, has been my best friend, I thought was on my side. Like, he basically gets threatened into turning into a spy. He doesn't really have much of a choice in the matter, and Eisenhorn doesn't care. He's like, doesn't matter. Like, take him away, keep a close eye on him. I don't trust him at all anymore, and I never will. Which, again, is a little bit hypocritical because of where he's been in this book. Right?
Is Eisenhorn projecting there? Or he's like, an Inquisitor who would turn on other Inquisitors, I can't have one of those around me. They're awful, because I'm awful.
Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe he is doing that little projection.
Just a little.
All right, cool.
All right,
That
so
is that.
the next book is Hereticus, because what's the naming convention?
Oh, good. What a great name, Hereticus.
It is. It's right up there with Legion. How dare you?
Wait, can I buy stuff on the app now on my phone?
Can you? What?
Dude,
No.
it's letting...
Since when?
I don't know. I just went to the end of this one, and it was like, hey, look, here's Hereticus. Buy now with one click.
Ooh, did it work?
I'm going to try it. Click. Oh, it worked! What the heck?
Oh, look at that.
Did the Amazon-Google fight actually resolve?
Maybe.
That's crazy. Wait, hold on. Says it will automatically appear in your library when the download is complete. Read now. Oh, wait. It worked. It threw an error the first time, and I was like, uh-oh. Incredible. Okay, wow, that's nice. I'm going to do some Googling and see if, like, they settled some court argument or something. I don't even know.
Maybe.
Because the reason you couldn't is because Amazon was like, we don't want people
We don't want to pay the
buying
30%.
stuff on Google. Right.
Yeah.
Right. But somebody won or somebody lost. I don't know. Amazon, Kindle, Android, phones, news. No.
Yeah, I don't see anything.
No. Here's why you can't buy books through the Kindle app on October 2024. So
it's going to be recent.
Here we go. Wait. No. This sucks. All I'm finding is how you can't do it. Here's a workaround, they say. Here's how you can do it.
Which is
Here's
open a web
why.
browser and just log in to...
I don't know. I'm not going to click on that link.
Fair enough.
Maybe I'm doing it illegally. Maybe I'm going to get in trouble for this. Hmm.
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 Yeah, I don't know. Even Amazon's website's like, yeah, go to the Kindle store in the web browser or on your computer.
Yeah, which is what I've been doing for
Hmm.
years now.
But apparently not.
But this one time,
Maybe they turned the Kindle into a web browser and you're reading a web browser version instead of like a PDF.
maybe.
Yeah, because that's
I
the thing.
don't
They just
know.
didn't want it to be an in-app purchase because in-app purchases have to go through the Play Store.
Yeah. Well, except it didn't go through the Play Store. It was right in the Kindle app.
Hmm.
It didn't take me to the Play Store. It didn't take me anywhere. I just clicked buy with one click in the Kindle app, and it was like, here it is, done. That's
Interesting.
crazy. Well, we'll try it again next week. See how it goes.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Wonderful.
Cool, cool, cool.
Crazy cool. Anything else we need to talk about?
Hmm.
Still no StarCraft 2?
Still no StarCraft 2.
Are like they gonna announce they're not doing anything, or are they just gonna like leave us hanging?
Oh, this is the way StarCraft dies, not with a bang but with a whimper. Like,
Mm.
upcoming tournaments. Where's upcoming tournaments? No, these are all like played already. I'm like, I just want upcoming Liquipedia, please.
Like KSL's running.
KSL? Is that Brutal?
Yeah, Korean StarCraft League.
Oh, okay. Sparkling Tuna Cup. Fairy Cup 12. Holy Mo League. Okay, that's deep. Tenacious Turtle Tussle. Epic's Land 44. That's Supers 7. Is that what soup is called here? Soup-ers?
I not that I'm aware of, but maybe.
Okay. Yeah, I like that too. Yeah, you get to enjoy that.
Oh wow, with the 7 in there too.
Yep.
Amazing.
Um, yeah, the StarCraft Evolution League 7. Monday Night Weeklies, that's kind of all we've got.
Yeah, as far as I know, we're still doing Super Live tournaments, me and Laughing Games, so that's still happening.
Mm-hmm. But a whole lot of nothing else.
Yeah. Crazy, crazy.
For sure.
All right, cool. Well, let's wrap it up then.
Yep.
All right. Thanks everyone for hanging out for another edition of the Falcon Paladin Hour here on twitch.tv/Somicron. You can find VODs at youtube.com/@Somicron. You can support the podcast by buying merch at falconpaladin.store and by going to patreon.com/Somicron and pledging over there as well. So thanks everyone who's doing that. Really, really nice. Thanks for supporting the podcast. We'll be back in a week with more Warhammer, maybe some StarCraft. And until then, thanks for hanging out with us, and you take care of yourself.
Bye.